Here we have a SAT math problem. Okay, let's go to the question. A right circular cone has a volume of 2592 pi cubic inches and the area of its base is 324 pi square inches. What is the slant height in inches of this cone? Okay, first let me draw a right circular cone. Now let me draw the height and the base radius of the cone. Here we have the height and here we have the base radius. Always the angle between the height and the base radius is a right angle. Here we have right angle. And the line segment over here represents the slant height of the cone. Usually we represent the slant height using the letter L, and we use the letter H to represent height, and the base radius is represented by the letter R. Okay, here we have a right triangle over here. That is ABC is a right triangle, and this AC represents, that is a slant represents the hypotenuse of the triangle because it is opposite to the right angle. When I know the height and the base radius, I can use the Pythagorean theorem in this right triangle to get the value of this lowercase l, that is slant height of the cone. Okay, now let's consider the area of the base given over here, that is 324 pi square inches. Actually, for any right circular cone, the base is a circle. So the given area over here is the area of the circle we have at the base of the cone. Okay, now let me write the stuff over here. Area of base equals to 324 pi, and this base is a circle. So we can use the area of circle formula for this stuff. Then we get pi r square equals to 324 pi. Let me divide both sides of this equation by pi. Then pi will cancel out. Here the same thing. We get r square equals to, on the right side we get 324. Okay, now to get rid of this exponent 2, what we have to do is we have to take a square root on both sides. Okay, now let me take a square root on both sides of this equation. On the left side, the square root and square will cancel out. Usually when we take square root on both sides of an equation, one of the square roots will cancel out, and for the other square root, we will consider positive or negative sign. But here on the left side, we have the radius of the base. The radius of the base of the cone can never be a negative value, so we don't have to consider positive or negative sign over here. We can consider only positive sign for this square root of 324. Okay, then we get r on the left side. On the right side, when you take a square root of 324, I am getting 18. Okay, here I got the radius of the base of the cone, that is 18. That is the length of this leg of the right triangle BC is 18. Okay, now let's try to get the height of the cone, that is the value of this h over here. For that, we can consider the volume of the cone given over here, 2592 pi cubic inches. That is the volume of the cone equals to 2592 pi, and we have formula to get the volume of a cone, that is 1 over 3 times pi r square times height equals to 2592 pi. Okay, here in this formula, this pi r square represents the area of the base. We know that the area of the base of the cone is 324 pi. We can plug in this 324 pi for this pi r square over here. Okay, let me continue over here. That is 1 over 3 times. For this one, we can plug in 324 pi times h equals to 2592 pi. Okay, here 3 goes into 3 one times, and 3 goes into 324, 108. Then we get 108 times pi times h equals to 2592 pi. Our aim is to get the value of h. So let's divide both sides of this equation by 108 pi. Okay, here 108 pi will cancel out. Here pi will cancel out. And we get h on the left side. On the right side, when I divide this value 2592 by 108, I am getting 24. Now, in this right triangle ABC, have the length for this leg AB, that is the value of h, that is 24, and also have the length of this leg BC, that is r. Now we can apply Pythagorean theorem to get the length of the hypotenuse AC, that is the slant height of the cone L. Okay, according to the Pythagorean theorem, the square of the hypotenuse, that is L square, equals to the sum of the squares of other two legs, that is r square positive h square. Okay, L square equals to, and for r we have the value 18. Let's plug in 18 for r, then we get 18 square. And for h we have the value 24. Let's plug in 24 for h over here, then we get 24 square. L square equals to, the value of 18 square is 324, and the value of this 24 square is 576. L square equals to, when I add this one and this one, I am getting 900. Now to solve for L, we have to get rid of this exponent 2. Let's take a square root on both sides of this equation. Okay, here this square root and square will cancel out, and we get L on the left side. And usually when we take square root on both sides of an equation, one of the squares will cancel out, And for the other square root, we have to consider positive or negative sign. But here we have L, that is a slant height of the cone. It can never be negative. So we don't have to consider positive or negative sign over here. We can consider only positive sign for the square root. So square root of 900 is 30. Okay, here I got the slant height of the cone, that is 30 inches.